Today, we're taking a hard look at the waiver wire. We're looking at those wide receivers. We're going to look at the trendy plays. We're going to look at some deeper plays as well for those deep leagues out there. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're looking at the waiver wire every single day. We're looking at it today. We're looking at it tomorrow. We're doing deep dives on all the trending players. On top of that, we're doing player rankings. The running back rankings roll out tomorrow. We're looking at every single matchup, trying to predict the game script so you know who to start for your fantasy teams. Click that button. Stop missing out. All this is free. It's right here. Plus, Ric Flair's right there watching you, and you do not want to disappoint Ric Flair. But Luther Burden is the first wide receiver we're looking at. He ran hot against the Dallas Cowboys, almost 20 fantasy points, only 9 routes ran. So I would not pick him up as a potential starter right now. But if you're looking for a lottery ticket wide receiver, the stash for the season or for the next few weeks to see what happens, this is a very good wide receiver prospect. He should have been drafted in the first round. Former 5-star recruit, nasty route runner, nasty separator, and he's going to need time to ramp up. He was hurt in the offseason, so he came back middle of training camp after being out since May, and he blew up in training camp. He looked good, but he needs a little extra time this season. That's what we're seeing on the field. He's only ran a few routes per game, and now we're starting to see him get some looks on the field. Give him a little bit of time, but he's a great lottery ticket stash right now. Sterling Shepard. Mike Evans is going to be out for a bit. Sterling Shepard has been running a fair amount of routes per game. 27, 40, and 27 last week. He's going to be getting work. He's going to be getting opportunities. This offense is banged up. It is banged up. He's going to be out there running a lot of routes. He's going to be getting a huge snap rate coming forward. He's getting targeted. He has 14 targets on the season, which is very solid for a wide receiver 3 at the time. Now wide receiver 2-ish right now with the Mekabuka there. And he's getting work there. He caught 3 balls last week for 60 yards. His ADOT is a little bit higher compared to previous seasons. Like, he could volume himself into fantasy production on some weeks, and he could be a money ball play for your lineups where you just throw him in and pray that the volume sticks for fantasy production. Chris Godwin should be rostered. He better be rostered. If he's out there, get him right now. This team's banged up, and he's going to be getting targets and opportunities. He's been practicing. He's been working out from what we saw in the clips. He's been looking pretty solid. Elic Ayomanor, he should have been picked up. We told you to pick him up week 1. We told you to pick him up then, and we talked about him prior to that in some of the other videos, but still, things are trending up. Another touchdown, 13 points last week in fantasy, PPR, 34 routes ran, and he's just getting the work. He's getting the opportunities. He's running a good route participation rate. Elic Ayomanor, not in a high-volume passing offense with a rookie quarterback, but he's still getting enough workload to get it done for you if you need him in a pinch. He also has more upside. This is a guy that cooked Travis Hunter back at college, and on top of that, he fell too far in the draft. He should have got drafted higher. You're already seeing that right now play out on the field. Elic Ayomanor is a guy you need to be thinking about picking up if you're hurting at wide receiver. Trey Tucker is the play everybody's chasing right now, and I'm seeing the hype, especially Underdog Fantasy, all the other sites, hyping him up. I told you that would happen. I think the fab for him is going to get pushed up due to that. So you may have to pay up for him a little bit. But he saw 17 targets combined in the last 2 weeks. He blew up last week with 145 yards, 40 fantasy points, and he was compared to Santana and Moss back at training camp. I'm not going to run with it because Jacoby Myers is going to be getting the targets. Brock Bowers getting the targets. Ashton Genty is getting the work. I think he will have production off and on. I think he will be volatile, but I don't think he's going to be worth high-end fab. So if you catch him on the cheap, cool, but I would not pay up for him. But I think he's going to be getting volume in terms of routes and targets for the rest of the year, but I think his production overall is going to be volatile, which could be all right for you in fantasy football if you play him correctly. Calvin Austin, he's cheap, and he's going to be volatile throughout the season, but a cheaper volatile play to look at. He has an ADOT at 16.2. All his games have ADOTs in the double digits, 15, 22, and 13. He's getting deep balls downfield. He's running a lot of routes, 84 routes on the season. Last week he ran 20 routes, 35 routes week 2, 29 routes week 1. He's getting volume. He's getting targeted. 5 targets last week, 4 the week prior, 6 week 1. He's going to be a wide receiver that splashes off and on throughout the season. He's a guy that's going to be picked up, dropped back to the waiver wire, back and forth throughout the year. But he's going to have some splash performances, especially when these game scripts break for the Steelers. Tyquan Thornton. I told you guys to pick him up earlier, and I've been talking about him for a bit. And the reason why you're seeing him hit. He gets those deep targets downfield. He has an average depth of target of 25.2, which is insane. And he's getting good volume right now in the passing offense. We got a few more weeks until Rashee Rice comes back. He's going to be getting opportunity. Even with Rice back, he's still a liability for defenses because he can stretch it downfield. We saw this in preseason, him and Mahomes making big plays downfield. He's running a fair amount of routes per game, already over 100 routes right now in the season, getting over 30 routes in every single game that he's played so far. He's getting work. He's getting opportunities. The deep ball downfield is what we're seeing. He's at least going to be a volatile splash play for the rest of the season. Tory Horton, another splash play wide receiver. Just look at this offense and think about it real quick. Jackson Smith-Njigba going to get the short to intermediate targets. Cooper Kupp usually going to get the shorter targets. Tory Horton, 3 wide receiver sets. It's deep ball city. You bring in that deep ball, he's going to cash. Week 2, he had an 8 out of 20, 14.3 average on the season. 4 targets last week, 4 week 2, and we could be ramping up. We could be ramping up to more later on in the season. Plus, Cooper Kupp has an extensive injury history. Tory Horton could be in load for more as we get deeper into the year. Wan'Dale Robinson. Jackson Dart is going to be at quarterback. If anything, he's a YOLO quarterback that's just going to sling it downfield. That could be good. That could be bad. That could be horrific. However, Wan'Dale Robinson right now, 4 targets last week, 10 the week prior, 8 week 1. He's running a lot of routes, 110 routes on the season. 28 was his low point in a sticky game against the Chiefs. His 8-outs, 12.6. So far, his highest in his career. Jackson Dart's going to fuel that. They're going to pump it downfield. Wan'Dale Robinson, with the amount of targets he's getting and his deep shots downfield, this is a play that's going to hit off and on for you throughout the season. And if Dart looks his way more than what we think, then this could be a trendy play to get. Jalen Tolbert. CeeDee Lamb's out. This team likes him. 42 routes ran last week. He's getting volume. He's getting work. 6 targets. He's a guy you're not going to want to start, but also a wide receiver you might think about putting in there. Also, Turpin for the Cowboys. He could be a splash play waiting to happen on any given Sunday. We already saw it in week 2. You're watching the matchups, but he's got speed to burn. All it takes is him getting some space, and he could hit it for you. And he ran 33 routes on Sunday. This team's banged up. He's going to get more opportunities. We got to see how this offense plays out, but another guy to look at, Romeo Doubs, just lives on the waiver wire. Every single waiver wire week, we look at Romeo Doubs. Last year, this year, he's part of the carousel effect of the Green Bay Packers. Any wide receiver on this team can get it on any given Sunday. He's always running a fair amount of routes for this team. He's always getting a fair amount of targets. It's just if the game script pops his way, then he could hit for you. He's always a gamble wide receiver for you. We got Dallas on the road here in week 4. Maybe you want to look at that. Or maybe you want to look at Wicks here. Same probabilities. He does get a lot of deep targets downfield. He has an 8 out of 14.1 on the season. That's target distance, average depth of target. He's also running an okay amount of routes since Reed went down. 21 last week, 22 the week prior, 10 targets in his last 2 games. This is another wide receiver that could splash on any given Sunday. Be on the lookout for Jalen Coker. He could be sitting there on waivers right now, and you can stash him on your IR spot, and when he comes back, you might be able to use him. He was looking good in preseason. He is cashing. This team needs something else. He's probably going to be stepping into a good workload when he comes back, and then you can monitor from there. But a free pickup, you can watch waivers run, pick him up, and then pick somebody else up for that spot that you just dropped if you can make it happen. But this is another wide receiver to pay attention to. Tez Johnson. This team's banged up, and he's going to be seeing more opportunities. He's only ran 16 routes on the season, but he's a good slot wide receiver. He's a crafty route runner. We could see him increase his role during the season due to these wide receivers being banged up. Parker Washington, these last 2 weeks, he's seen 16 targets. He ran 33 routes in week 3, and his workload's starting to increase. Travis Hunter has not been hitting the spec. He has not been grading out well, even in terms of separation. Parker Washington starting to step up. This team's going to be in a lot of weird game scripts. Do I trust starting him right now? No, not against the Niners, not against the Chiefs. But if you're looking for a wide receiver who's getting some work, who's getting some opportunities, who just recently seen an increase in his snap rate, you're looking at Parker Washington. Isaiah Bond is going to be a sneaky wide receiver to get off waivers. If you're in a deeper league, you may want to look at him. He got some work last week. He was also creating separation, and Flacco missed him. Didn't even look his way when he was wide open for targets. He could have easily had 85-plus yards last week if he had a normal quarterback. 65% snap rate. That increased from 38 to 65 from the week prior. 4 targets, so we're increasing by the week. We didn't get a training camp, but once they were able to sign Isaiah Bond, they worked so hard getting him into practice, and we're seeing Jerry Jeudy suck every week. We're seeing Cedric Tillman be okay. Isaiah Bond could come in strong. Alec Pierce is coming back from a concussion. A.D. Mitchell was mossing everybody in training camp. He was looking good. Daniel Jones can spread the rock around, and maybe in the right opportunity, we could see him splash a little bit. I like Michael Pittman best and Tyler Warren in this offense. Josh Downs has a good history, but we know the ball's spreading around in this offense, and if you're hurting that bad at wide receiver and you need a speculative add, A.D. Mitchell could be a guy that could see an increased workload due to injuries. He's had just 19 routes on the season, but he's been looking good, and he's been creating separation. There's just a lot of competition on this offense. Marvin Mims. We've been waiting for him to hit and blast off for years. Scored 10 points in week 2. In the right matchup, he's a throw and play for lineups. I like him better for deeper leagues. I think there's a lot of target competition on this team with Franklin and Sutton. But Mims here could be a splash play for you on any given Sunday in deeper leagues, probably 16 plus if you're hurting that bad at wide receiver. Arian Smith is a pickup to look at this week. He's got some upside. He saw a 78% snap rate, so he's seeing an increase in work. Ran almost 40 routes with 39 last week, and his ADOT was 11.5 in week 2 off of 2 targets. He's getting work. He's getting opportunities. This is a wide receiver to monitor from the waiver wire in traditional leagues. However, in larger leagues, you may want to think about Arian Smith. But those are the wide receivers we're talking about today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who's your pickups? I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.